Hello, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am making banana bread, finally. I've only talked about it, I think, in the last two videos. I already prepared, unpeeled the bananas. I wanted them to kind of be a little softer and, easier to handle. Plus, the recipe calls for them to be overripe, so I also kept them in the fridge for a couple days. And that seemed to kind of help get them to soften up more. I don't know if that's factual or if it's just because they were in there for a few days continuing to ripen. So don't hold me to that being the best idea. Now, I am going to put the recipe below for one, but because of the amount of bananas I do have, I am making 2 loaves. So I'm going to make 1 loaf, and then I only have 1 pan, so I'm going to cook it, let it cool until right when I can, and then I'm going to make another loaf, and I'm probably going to put in whichever loaf came out better, because I've never made banana bread. So the recipe says to start off by combining all the dry ingredients for the most part, besides the sugars. So the flour, you're going to need 2 cups of flour, or in my case 4. I'm just going to do the doubled version while I talk about it, because I am making 2, and I'll have the recipe halved down in the description so that you can make a loaf if you want to. I don't need the sugar yet. So I'm going to need 4 cups of flour. The recipe called for all-purpose. A teaspoon of baking powder and baking soda. And for that part, it called for a 1/4 teaspoon salt. I don't have a measuring that small, so I'm gonna pretty much just eyeball it. So since I'm doubling it, it'll be a 1/2 teaspoon of salt and 2 teaspoons of each one of these. So I'm just gonna use, because I prepare everything but a couple things, because I try to think ahead and it ends up backfiring, but all well. So since I'm doubling it, I'm mainly just going to need a 1 cup measure, and I'll just eyeball this stuff. I've got one of these size spoons. It's kind of like a teaspoon, smaller than a tablespoon. So I'm just going to use this for the teaspoon portion, and hopefully things turn out okay. I'm also hoping I have enough flour. So I'm going to go ahead and just pour. I know last time when I made the pumpkin bread, I said about putting it in the bowl, but I don't feel like doing that right now. So I'm just doing it the way most people probably do it. So 1 cup. Two cups. I don't think I'm going to have enough flour. Three cups. I think I have just enough flour, luckily. 4 cups. Alright, so I had just enough. It says in a smaller one to put the flour, so I'm using the smallest one to just keep all the dry ingredients, because they're going to be mixed into the butter stuff later, and then last off will be the bananas. I just took them out of the fridge and unpeeled them and kind of just like let them break apart. They're soft. They're very ripe. They're not rotten. They're not bad, but they're ripe. So I am just letting them set to the side right now and warm up a little bit more to room temperature. And I had to get new baking powder since the last time because my grandpa wanted to use that one to help kind of, you know how you keep it in the fridge. He wanted to do that. So I'm just going to do, I'd say that's about a teaspoon. I'm just going to do the 2 of these. And then 1, 2 of the baking powder. And then I'm just going to eyeball the salt. I would say with a shaker like this, maybe 6 shakes. So then you're just going to set this aside because we don't need it right now. This is just so that, to make it easier to like pour in slowly while we beat everything else up. And then in a bowl, we're going to need our room temperature butter. It's close to room temperature as is right now. I got off of work. It's currently almost 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'm making banana bread. But I got off of work at 10 and I decided today was the day because if I waited any longer, all my bananas would have been bad. So in here, I'm going to go ahead and throw the butter in the bowl. I'm using 2 sticks because the original recipe called for half a cup, which is equivalent to 1 stick, and I'm doubling it as I said before. And I need a half cup of granulated sugar. So I'm just doing that. Now if there's clumps, just break them up. It's not that big of a deal. It just means that some moisture got into the bag. I live in Florida. That's common. It's humidity. And we suffer from that year round. So now I need my handy dandy kitchen scissors to cut open a fresh bag of brown sugar because I made another batch of cinnamon apples last night. And I'm just adding a cup of brown sugar. But I made the cinnamon apples for some coworkers who didn't get any of the last batch. And have been asking me for actually a couple of years now. So I decided last night was the time. I was going to try to film this video last night. They were going to be cooking in the background and I was going to be here doing this while they cooked. And I got home and realized I did not have baking soda because he had put it in the fridge and I'm not using that. Because I don't feel like that's sanitary to have it in the fridge open, absorbing whatever is in the fridge that he wanted absorbed, because our refrigerator didn't stink before. So yeah. So this next part I'm probably gonna mute because it's gonna be loud, but I have my half cup of brown sugar, my half cup of granulated sugar, my cup of brown sugar, and my 2 sticks of butter. It's plugged in and working. Now I'm just gonna beat until fluffy. I need to invest in like a nice tripod instead of having you on top of my microwave. so that I can like aim it down and like show what I'm doing. I'm planning on investing in that and an actual camera instead of my phone. There we go. Alright, so I beat it until I believe this is like the texture you want. It looks pretty light and fluffy. It's just mixed sugar and butter. So you already know, you don't have to taste it to know it tastes great. So then after that, you're going to want to add your eggs and vanilla. I'm going to go ahead and start off with the vanilla. It called for 1 teaspoon of vanilla, which means we're adding 2, which is pretty much just 2 capfuls. So that's how you do that. And then it calls for 2 eggs, so we're going to throw in 4. And then after you add the eggs in, you're going to beat it again. Let's see if I can do it with one hand. I just don't want any shell. Oh, I did it. And no shell. Let's see if I can do it. Never mind. I immediately put a shell in. They got it right out though. My hands are clean. And I'm actually going to wash them real quick before I beat it because I do have raw egg now all over my hands. And I'm back. Hands are washed. Now I'm going to go ahead and beat this again, so I'll be muted and probably sped up. In between mixing, you do want to make sure that you have anything that you can use to scrape the sides down. I'm just going to use the spoon I used earlier because I don't like doing dishes. So I can just reuse the same spoon just to make sure the sides are really good and straight down. And then mix a little more, just make sure everything's split. Alright, and this is what the batter is looking like now. It's just butter, sugar, eggs, and the vanilla. Now, the recipe did call for milk. I don't have any milk. But I mean, you can replace it with water. I'm just not going to add it because I feel like it's going to be moist enough. If it looks later on like it needs a little extra moisture, I will add water once I add the flour and the rest of the dry ingredients. Now it's the part where I'm going to slowly add while mixing. So I'm going to go ahead and just sprinkle like a layer on top. I did about a third to a half, and then I'm just going to start off real slow that way there's no big cloud of flour. Continue to slowly add while you mix. Now comes the time where I'm going to start scraping down the sides just to try to mix it all a little better. The batter is definitely a lot thicker than the than the pumpkin bread was. But I mean, pumpkin puree has a high moisture amount in it. So, I mean, it's a puree, so it's a lot of moisture. And so I think this is just waiting for the banana portion of it. It's kind of if you're like me and you just eyeball everything that you cook for the most part, if you ever make pancake batter, that just doesn't have enough water in it. But this is what it's looking like right now. I think I'm just going to try to scrape down the sides a little more. Just to try to make sure everything is incorporated well. Pushing off with clean fingers. Just any dough that gets stuck to the spoon. It's a really sticky dough. But I think I'm going to set it aside for the time being and go grab a fork. Now comes the time for the most important, for the star of the show, the bananas. I'm just going to take a fork and you just mash them down to like a puree or whatever you want to call it. I'm sure you could do it in like a food processor. It'd probably be a lot easier and stuff like, and save a lot more time. But I don't think I have one of those. I might. But if I did, it's one of those real small ones, so it wouldn't be enough for all of the bananas. But you make sure the bananas are smashed real well, because you don't really want big clumps of banana in it. It's supposed to be part of the dough. It's not supposed to be like chunky. Now, I know a lot of people put nuts in banana bread. I've had it before and it's okay, but I've also had banana bread without nuts in it, and when I get banana bread, I want banana bread. I don't want banana nut bread. There's a difference in my opinion in flavor and everything like that. I really like a banana flavor, so I tend to just let the star of the show do its job. So you just want it to be mashed up real well. I think this is good just the way it is. So I'm going to go ahead and slowly start incorporating it into the bowl. I'm going to put it in. And just kind of, I will end up using the mixer again, but for right now I just want to try to see if the moisture from the banana will also soften the dough so it's not so harsh on my hand mixer, because this hand mixer actually belonged to my great-grandmother. So I like to treat it with care. But I feel like the older appliances, they were built to last. So now I'm just going to start the blender again. And once I have the dough completed, I've been trying to show you as best as I can. This is how it's looking now that I've slowly added some of the banana to it. I just want to go ahead and try mixing it to make sure it's better incorporated. Alright, so the batter has gotten a lot lighter and fluffier. I think it's good. It seems all well combined and everything just seems to be going the way it's supposed to. The website I used, I can link the recipe down as well. Didn't really show. I didn't really investigate the site too much. I just scrolled down to the recipe and it was one of the only sites I saw that had it with no nuts and had an easy way to find the recipe on the site. Of course, like most baked goods, you want to bake it at 350 degrees. My oven is currently preheating. Don't mind me, I'm just, trying to get all the dishes that I do have together. Another nice feature of this one, it's an old machine, but it still has the good old-fashioned button to click to release. So while the oven preheats, I'm just gonna kind of make sure all my dishes are together, start soaking them. I'm just using a basic bread pan or loaf pan, and then I'm just using, good old reliable oil spray just to grease it up. I like to grease it generously so that I know it won't stick, because even the good stuff can have its flaws. So now I'm just gonna, put about half the dough into the pan. I'm just scooping it up because I don't want a chance making a mess trying to pour it. And it's also kind of thick, so I don't want to have any issues with too much coming out or not enough and having to deal with all that. And then I'm just using the back. I just use like one of the plastic spoons that like you can use for like soup and stuff like that. And I'm just using the back of it now to kind of even it out, see how high up the pan it is. It smells really good, which is always one of the best signs. So this is how it's looking. I'm just gonna leave it set. The rest of this dough I'm gonna put in the fridge, and I'll be back. Well, I mean, once it hits 350, I'm gonna put it in the oven. It says to bake it for an hour to an hour and a half. The recipe did recommend that after an hour, if it's not done, to check it about every 5 minutes up to an hour and a half to make sure it's done. And if it needs longer, then of course continue to check within every 5 minutes after that. But so right now I'm gonna focus on cleaning the little bit I can clean, and I will be back once this is out of the oven. Alright, so it's been about an hour. It actually needed just under an hour for at least the size pan I have. I got it at Dollar General. I don't know exactly how big the size is, but this is what it looks like. It's still pretty warm. It just came out of the oven like 15 minutes ago. I went ahead and took it out of the pan as soon as I could. I have another loaf going, the second one. It's not quite as big, but it'll do. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it. And this is what the inside looks like. As you can see, it's still pretty warm. It's steaming. It really doesn't have as much of a banana smell as I thought it would. But the important thing is what it tastes like. It's not as flavorful as I wish it was. It kind of only has a hint. It only has like a hint of banana. I don't know if I'd make this recipe again. I don't know if it's because I had refrigerated the bananas or I don't really know what happened. It could have been either the bananas were a little too ripe or because they were refrigerated. Maybe I should have not refrigerated them. I was considering giving that second loaf away. But I don't know if I will. Because I'm not the type of person to give somebody a dish that I don't think came out as good as it should have. I'm kind of bummed out because I was really excited about this. But yeah, it doesn't have a banana smell. I don't know how to describe the smell. It doesn't smell like bread, and it doesn't smell like banana, and it's banana bread. I wanted to try a more inner piece to see if there was more flavor. But yeah, it's not. It's not giving what I wanted it to give. I think my grandpa doesn't like being on camera, so I won't film his reaction to it. But I might see what he thinks about it. But really, I don't know. It's just weird. I'm not a fan, and I love banana stuff. So I might try again with maybe slightly fresher bananas and not refrigerating them and see if that changes it. But as of recording this video, it was a flop for me. So yeah. Sorry if so yeah, I mean I'm tired right now, so that might be like a thing, like affecting it, because it's almost 3 o'clock in the morning and I still need to get ready for bed. And I have a busy day tomorrow. So I will see, maybe try to remake it in the future for a video. Let me know in the comments if you want to see me try to perfect the banana bread. But this was a flop. I followed the directions and ingredients to a T, so I don't think it was necessarily how I made it. I just think that either the bananas were the issue or the recipe's the issue. Because I'm the type, I'm gonna cook a recipe as close to as close as I can to how the recipe is on the first time, and then I'll see like what needs changed if I can pick it up. But this I really can't. I'm starting to get like an aftertaste of banana and like the sweetness, but I don't know. I'm disappointed. So I'm now editing the video, and I was so flabbergasted by how horrible the banana bread came out. I was shook. I forgot to do an outro. I was just rambling on and on about what could have gone wrong. I still have no clue what went wrong. But, oh well. I think it got thrown out, the banana bread. It was horrible. My grandpa, he thought it was alright, but he wasn't a fan, and there's no way he would have eaten both loaves. So I think they got trashed. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you think I should make another video. Recreate it and see if I can perfect the banana bread. You can also like and subscribe and follow me on all my other socials. I am gonna finish editing this and then head to bed so that I can sleep and be prepared for an overnight shift tomorrow at my job. So, yeah, see you in the next video.